Welcome to Down the Road. We've got some great stories for you today. That's right. We've got the story of people who are out there collecting syrup. It's that time of year with those maple trees. We're going to go down that road with Kyle Agri with Brewer Agri Outdoors. Also, going to get a chance to talk a little bit about someone from the area of Ukraine. We're going to talk about Tyler Jacobs being freed after a number of years from Russian custody. And so we'll talk about that as well. That ties into Winona, Minnesota. But over the weekend, and you might have caught some of this in the news, the Dem NPL met in Minot. And, the Dem NPL is nowhere near the strength of what the Dem NPL was. But the reason to get there was to try to get back to some level of strength, to try to get some candidates to get a foothold in public office. Obviously, I'm a Democrat. I don't hide that. I'm a proud Democrat. But the truth of the matter is we haven't been that successful. You can't change that unless you put good quality candidates on the ballot. Liz Conmy she's a candidate, and she's one of exactly what I'm describing. She's a candidate for the House of Representatives in District 11, and she's good enough to spend some time with us right now. Liz, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Happy to be here.
Something made you say, okay. I mean, it all starts somewhere. Somebody came to you and said, we need you to be a candidate. We want you to be a candidate. And somebody, I don't want to say talked you into it, but ignited that.
They did.
Okay.
They did.
What made you decide?
So I grew up in North Dakota. My father was a county commissioner for 30 years, longer than he should have been, like most North Dakotans do when they get in office. My mother was a school board. My grandfather was sheriff here. Mm-hmm. So service was, always kind of in the family blood. But you have kids and family, and you're taking care of everyone.
And a profession.
And you work, yeah. And so finally, everything kind of loosened up, and my neighbor is the District 11 chair, and this wonderful man, and we're always talking politics in the driveway. And he's like, Ron Guggesberg is retiring. Would you consider running? And I'm like, no, yeah, maybe.
It got tougher to say
It was like, I can do this. And I've always been interested in the opportunities there. And I get to run with Gretchen and Tim Mathern. And so it's like, yeah, I can do this. This is good.
Tell people where District 11 is.
District 11 is where I have Lindenwood Park on one side, 13th Avenue.
In Fargo.
Mm-hmm. 13th Avenue to my north. And then there's a little blip that goes past 13th Avenue and then over to Prairie Wood and up to the interstate. So it's kind of a funky, it's grown. Mm-hmm. We've added parts of Prairie Wood in. So it's a family kind of neighborhood district.
When I think of District 11, I think of one of the most diverse districts in North Dakota. Mm-hmm. I think of Tim Mathern, obviously, who I served with, and what a champion he's been for new Americans, for people who maybe wouldn't get that chance at that first job so they can prove who they are. And that's got to be a pretty exciting district to go to work for.
We're Fargo South. We're a great district. You have lots of different people, lots of different issues. Plus, it's a really great hood.
If you hadn't said yes, your neighbor would not have mowed his yard. You would have had to deal with
Seriously, no, we mow his yard. He's from Oregon, and he just doesn't get mowing, and he misses spots, and it really annoys us. So we mow his yard.
Okay. So. To run, it's one thing to, obviously, your family, and they recognize the name. Public service is in the bloodline, but you still run because of a reason, something you want to do, you want to get done. What is it?
There's tons of things. So I have 4 kids. They live in 4 different time zones. I would prefer they lived in time zones that were in North Dakota. One of them is in Bowman, and one is in Fargo, Pittsburgh, and Spokane. But the reason they left, some of them, is because wages, jobs, and so it'd be nice to have that here. My daughter in Bowman just had her second child. My daughter-in-law just had her second child. I'm like, great, how much leave do you get? How much, what kind of pay do they give you? She's like, are you kidding? And I was astounded. I lived in Minnesota when I had my kids. I had paid leave, I had everything, and I'm just flabbergasted that our teachers don't get paid maternity leave. Yeah. So there's issues like that.
Not only that, but daycares. That's
daycare.
It's going to be so easy for her to find.
Oh, Oh, it's seriously, talk about bribery. You know, they have to bribe people to get daycare. It's nuts. So, and then, so we're losing teachers, we're losing healthcare professionals because we aren't giving them a quality of life that they can get somewhere else.
Yeah.
And we can do that.
Well, and it all starts locally.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. North Dakota now has, I'm not exaggerating it by saying close to $9 billion in the bank. That's with a B. That's
Yeah.
When I first got into the legislature, Ed Schaefer was the governor, and I think that first budget had an ending fund balance of 13 million.
Wow.
That's with an M.
Yeah.
And so everything was that tight. That was after major reductions in departments. And so, you know, it's always harder to legislate when you have money because people want some of that money. But the truth of the matter is the focus and where that money goes, I'm not sure is very realistic when it comes to the North Dakota legislature.
No. We need to make people's lives better so they want to stay here, raise their families here. We need to welcome some of these immigrants. We have, 20,000 jobs waiting?
Or more
Or
that
more.
you don't even know about.
Yeah.
You know, the people used to run in North Dakota based on jobs. I remember that was John Hogan. Every speech he gave, every sentence was always jobs. If that was the goal, that's accomplished. Maybe they need to focus on employees.
Yeah.
Or entrepreneurs, because, you know, everywhere I go, in my home area, in Fargo, you know, Richland County, Sargent County, Ransom County, Doosan Bobcat, people used to line up to work at the Bobcat plant. They're not doing that anymore.
No. So we have a lot of things we can do to make people's lives better. I also farm up in Langdon. So I have that, I can connect all that farm stuff too, and there's issues there that need to be addressed. Our small towns are dying. I can go all over the state.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But you're willing to put your name on the ballot. You know, you were in Minot at the Dem NPL convention.
Yes.
And of course, the reports of the Dem party is, you know, people would say they've been exaggerated, but yet Democrats have to start winning some races.
Definitely.
What did you see in Minot? Did you see anything that fired you up?
I saw enthusiasm. I saw a willingness to say that you're a Democrat without being apologetic about it, because it's a good thing. We run on, our values are the same as Republican values. We just maybe approach it a little differently. But not apologizing, I think, is a good thing, because we do have good ideas.
Yeah. When you know, there was a number of people in my home district. We're the furthest from Minot. You know, I live 10 miles from South Dakota and 10 from Minnesota, so it's a long ways to Minot. But you know, we had a virtual presence at the convention. We had 10 people in my man cave / garage, and they were fired up. You know, these people were hanging on words of the speeches, and sometimes they cringed. You know, but that's the point of a convention, right?
They were polite, they were respectful of other people's opinions, and that's really important. And we had great candidates nominated. I'm really excited about our Senate candidate.
If people give them a chance to be heard.
Yeah, listen to her. She's worth listening to.
Oh, I've had her on this show, and she's very impressive, very intelligent.
Yeah.
You know, and she knows why she's running.
And she'll get things done, and she'll get things done for normal North Dakota.
Yeah. The interesting part of all that, Liz, is the fact that this is the first time John Hoeven, who she's running against, if he gets his party's nomination, one of the individuals that he's up against to get that nomination is Rick Becker, who's on this very network, state representative, and I've never seen John Hoeven this nervous. I have no doubt he's going to win, but I've never seen him this nervous. He called a friend of mine wanting his support at the convention. He said, I need you and your wife such and such's support.
Yeah.
And there was such a disconnect there. The individual, who was fairly powerful in North Dakota politics, said, you know, it probably would have helped if he had known my wife's real name. Right. I mean,
Oh no.
there's it's the first time he's had to go out and work for something. And I think she'll make him work as well.
And I think she'll make him answer for some of the votes he's made that really don't seem to be in our favor.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to see what he was in Russia for.
Honestly, it's just, why can't we ask him that?
Yeah. The 4th of July, because he won't answer it. I mean, that's part of it. But I've told Rick Becker, I said, are you going to ask him that? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, when you're in Russia on the 4th of July, a couple of years back, you should be able to say, here's what I was doing in Russia.
With other congressmen, and so is this a official trip? In that case, we need to know.
Other congressmen from his side of the aisle.
Yes. Yeah.
It wasn't
No.
our side of the aisle. So you get the job. And you put your right hand up to God and you say, you bet I'll do this. They give you your chair, they give you your parking spot, they give you your name tag, all of that, and you see your name up on the board ready to vote. What are you going to work on? What bills go in that you want to be sponsor of and you want to say, hey, I'm willing to put my name behind that?
Holy cow.
Well,
That's a lot.
right.
Well, basically, a lot of Democrat things, which are basically family things. Paid family leave is a huge thing. Honestly, teacher support, higher ed. I think, looking at internships for student teachers, why aren't we paying them to be student teachers? I mean, there's a lot of things we can do to keep our workforce happy and staying here. So I think economics, workforce, anything to do to support that.
Well, you're a former educator.
Yeah.
I mean, you were a professor at MSUM, and the one thing that you know is more and more teachers don't want to be teachers.
No. No.
Why?
It's like
It was a calling more than a profession for them.
and it still is. And you love your students, but it's like being a coach at a little kid's hockey game. You've got people yelling at you about things that don't matter. And people are yelling at teachers about things that don't matter, and you're not allowed to teach. And the pressure is just enormous. And then COVID, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot. And pay. It would be nice to be paid more, and especially teachers in rural North Dakota, everywhere.
Yeah.
They deserve more pay.
Well, and the money's there to pay them.
The money is there. And North Dakota is so small, you'd think we could be really nimble in approaching these things, but we seem to just drag our tails. And it's like, come on, we can do this.
Yeah. Liz, good luck to you. You know, I will give you the same advice I give every legislator after 14 years of being in the legislature and knocking on doors to get the job. It's the little dogs that bite. The big ones that bark and growl, they're just big cream puffs in the end. You just pat them behind the ears. But the little ones, look out for them. They come back around on you.